All right, well, coming back here for the final push, coming off a game like the other day, how real is momentum here, especially at this point in the season?
Well, if you have momentum, you won your last game, and we're all about the one-game event, right? So you get to feel good and be excited about, all of these now will be the biggest game of the year. They're all critical. But you get to feel good. You've won 3. It feels different, than in mid-season because there's a way more important aspect to all these games.
What's it like? I mean, but you've got Buffalo coming in here. This isn't
Yeah.
a team looking at the draft. This isn't a team looking to pack it in. I mean, they've got, they're in this.
They got games in hand, so we'll get to Ottawa again. They'll have it'll be close in points, right? So everybody's in the same boat, which is good. It changes. I think those are the games you want because they're going to come out and they got to play a real game, right? It can't be. They're not going to be loose. They're going to be. Their risk profile will be the exact same as ours, right? You can't make mistakes, and you've got to make the most of your opportunities. So it'll be a full-on play, as close as we'll get to a playoff game.
Word is Buffalo's going to start. Devin Levy, former Florida Panther draft pick. You guys have, I assume, Alex Lyon. What's your confidence level in Alex coming home after what he did last week?
Well, he's 6-3-1, so that's good numbers. And his game, since he's come back in the second time, has been very controlled. So he's played well. He stops pucks. We got lots of confidence in him.
And in looking at this season for him, I mean, you talked a little bit about it, about where he was when he first had to fill in for Bob and where he is now. Looks a little different because it looked like he was a little wild in that first.
He was covering a lot of ice.
Yeah,
he was working hard, and he far more controlled in his game now. It's just rhythm back in the NHL game, right? It's not even a learning curve. If you've been out for a while, you come back in. The shooters are different. The puck movement's different. The second time you come back in, your timing's better. As talking to Guzda about that as well. The first thing you notice is they all shoot. Everybody can shoot in the NHL, and the timing is different. They come off the stick faster, but once you get into that rhythm, you can anticipate it.
How big do you think that Boston win was for him? To beat the Bruins.
It was for him and for everybody because we were at the end of it, right, on fumes, and such a tough stretch, and then kind of coming off maybe in Pittsburgh where it was such a wild game that you could beat the best, and he was good in that game. So lots of confidence. I think it was very important.
Coach, after that game in Toronto, you gave the players a lot of credit, player-driven win, finding a way to win. Where have you seen them, since that game 3-0, where have you seen them really take ownership?
I think,
for the message.
The teams have to rally, right? They have to rally around themselves, and what you'll see then is they come out different in games, and they come out more prepared but more focused. The bench is different. There's more talk. It's more about the players now, and as you get closer to the playoffs, it truly is. On any long runs in the playoffs, the coach just kind of fades into the background. They know the matchup, they know the style of game, they know the opponent. It's the players, and that's a good, healthy place for it to be right now.
Sam Bennett wasn't out there today. Did he skate before practice?
No, he skates tomorrow.
Is there a chance that he could play, or
No,
what's the timeline?
no, same lineup going in.
Is there, just in terms of the season though, what are you looking at for Sam?
He's got to get back on the ice, and we've got to get a few practices in. We'll get him on the ice tomorrow. We'll see how he recovers from that ice session the next day. If he feels good, he'll get into a heavier. There's a chance toward the end of the week.
It's been a while. I mean, the week we were here, he was out there skating and then came off. Did he have a setback?
It's a tough injury that heals at its own rate, and there's not a lot of room on it, right? It just has to get better. You can't play as an NHL hockey player with it. So soft tissue, it's healing. We think we got forward motion, and he's just got to get through those hoops.
With Sergei Bobrovsky, just any update with his illness?
Yeah, I don't have him. He may be able to back up tonight. He's just sick, and he's getting better. But we wouldn't put him in the lineup unless he was sure he could get into a game and get through. So that one is hour to hour as much as it is. We'll check on him tonight. We'll see how he feels tomorrow when he comes in.
Has he been able to do anything physically?
Off-ice workout, yeah.
You obviously talked a little bit about Carter the other day, but just kind of putting his career in perspective, where he comes from, just as a coach, to see a success story like that, just how cool is that?
It's great because you get to watch it happen kind of in front of you. He hasn't been in the league that long. He worked really, really hard on his game, and we are all, excited for the 40. And it's such a hard number to get to. but his biggest improvement in his game is probably away from the puck this year, right? Guys come into the league like that, and they're pure scorers, and they just feel like they have to every time they touch the puck to get a chance to play the next night, because it's hard to get into the league. And then you got to get the confidence from the coaches that they'll put you on the ice even if you're not scoring. I mean, the guy who scores 40 goals probably got, 8 or 9 of those are doubles, right? So you got 50 games where a goal scorer doesn't score, then he's got to do something else, or he's got to at least hold water for you. And that's the area of improvement from the start of the season to where he is now. He's positionally strong now. He wins his battles. And you can live sometimes with some of the offensive, mistakes, plays that don't get made, because he makes enough of them. And when you play with Barkov, he'll cover you over.
I mean, more about that line. It really seemed like when you put Verhaeghe on that line with Barkov and Duclair, it opened things up a little bit, because it was a line that played together before, right?
They played together before. I think that they made an adjustment in the game. Their first time out, they were kind of stretching their speed a little bit, and they were trying to make it work. And then the last two, especially games that they went together, they weren't more than 15, 20 feet apart from each other almost the whole night, and they have the hands. And then when they needed the speed, all three guys can accelerate. So they didn't use the word cheat the game. Those guys don't cheat the game. They just it's a funny thing. The fastest guys in your room sometimes stay in motion all the time when they're the last guys that actually need to do that. They are all incredible sprinters. They all get off the line very, very quiet. So their last two games, they were patient. They were way more patient with the game, and they got more puck control, and they got more action off the rush.
You're putting two really fast guys like that with Barkov, who's obviously a good skater, but he doesn't have that rep as like those two guys. Like, is it a fit though that really works for him?
I think sometimes the size makes you think he's moving slower than he is, but he gets into holes as quickly as either of those other two guys, and it just allows it to happen. So he's not waiting for anybody. Skating without the puck is probably the key piece. If they start close enough to each other, they can really the Verhaeghe tap in from Duclair. All three guys moving together down the ice. They're not very far apart, but they're moving fast.
Have you seen, because you talked about putting Anton Lundell in that second line center spot, and he obviously had a couple of games. Just what have you seen in his growth?
Yes, and just confidence. Like, it weighs on everybody, but it weighs on younger players more because there's other aspects, right? There's contracts too. Like they want to score goals, and they'll tell you, but they feel it. They haven't been through a 10-game stretch where you don't score and you're 30 years old and you know you're going to get out of it. You just got to be patient, so you do other things. And then they get the one, and all of a sudden he looks like a different player. It's off his stick faster. And you're playing with two really good players that'll get him the puck. Confidence builds. They stop forcing plays. But we needed him to come in and be very good, and he has been.
I want to talk about Anthony Duclair too. Like it was a while since he got his last point before that last game.
Yeah,
he got 3 assists. How does a game like that do for someone?
It relaxes you. He came in his first 5 games. He had the empty netter, but he had so many good chances in the slot to score. And then you start to squeeze it a little bit, and then that kind of disappeared. But he had basically 2 sicknesses that he went through, and he wasn't at his best. So I think he's just recovered now, where he's back feeling good and he's feeling strong. And then confidence is the same for every. You know what? It doesn't matter. I had a Hall of Fame player that I coached at one point in his season. It was a mess. He almost couldn't play. And he scored a knuckler, and it wasn't a good goal at all. And then he just took off. It doesn't matter how long, even veteran guys suffer from it when they get chances and they don't score. It weighs on them. It changes the way they play. So hopefully he doesn't consider himself just a passer now, and he'll shoot the puck. But he's moving different in practice today. You can just see it. The weight's off him a little bit. That line was good. They were moving really well.
And he's been doing everything else off the puck, like you said about Lundell. I mean, is that something that kind of helps weigh off too?
For sure, you need that. Just the math on that. A 50-goal scorer is probably scoring 2 in 10 games. That's half a season where he doesn't score a goal. He's got to do something else. It's just not enough. So he's been doing the things, those guys, that you're going to keep playing them no matter what in high-pressure situations, because they allow it. They allow you. You can run them against the other team's best, even if they're not scoring, because they're doing the small things that give you a chance to win a game.
Thank you.
Thank you.